here, and I have had a wonderful time myself. I didn't just want to come as a speaker. I wanted to ensure that I was part of the process, the learning process, because learning is a process and learning is a continuous process. You don't stop learning, except you want to start dying, literally now, okay, because it's important that we are constantly in tune, we are constantly in touch with the realities around us. And one major way by which we do this is what I want to be talking about this evening very shortly. Let me see, I have to time myself so that I don't spend so much time. Okay, learning is very critical for our living. And as parents, we have a very great role to play when it comes to helping our children to cultivate this skill, because it's something that is very, very important. It cannot be overemphasized. And I am meant to be talking about reading and writing, but because of time, I am just going to focus more on reading, because as you will see by the time I explain that reading plays a major role in any kind of growth when it comes to personal development. By the way, my name is Sam Adetiran. Let me introduce myself again. I'm a personal development expert, a book publishing consultant, and a distinctive editor. That's what I do professionally, to ensure that people write well and their writing is well polished. For some, I help them to actually produce their writing when it comes to sharing their thoughts and ideas in written form, and then of course taking them through the polishing part, and then of course also helping them to get their works published excellently. That's what I do. And one of the things I do as a personal development expert, my own unique selling point, is the fact that I am a reading coach. This is what I do with all of my heart. I'm so passionate about it. I help people to read. I say that I help people to cultivate healthy reading habits that is a requisite for purposeful living. All right, this is something I've been doing for about 5 years now. I started out in 2013. I have had several training, one-on-one sessions, and it's been amazing. I have come to discover that many people know that they should be reading, but not too many people know how they should be reading. Okay, and I am glad for every parent that is listening to me now, because the work starts with you. It begins with you. You know, we have the greatest influence on our children. I am a father of two children. I have a boy and a girl. And I have learned to see that the best way to help my children to act right is to act right myself. Okay. Many times we want to instruct our children to do certain things, but most of the time we lose them. We lose them, like Mr. Aaron was talking the other time. We lose them because we are not really connecting with them. We are not helping them to see why they should be doing what we want them to do. Rather, we just want them to do what we are asking them to do, and it doesn't work like that. Okay, so when it comes to the learning skill, there are four major ones, and that's the speaking skill, like I'm speaking to you right now. There's the listening skill, and there's the writing skill, and then there's of course the reading skill. Now take a minute to just think back to how your children have developed over the years. You will see that this is practical, because how do they learn to start speaking? For instance, they start learning to speak by listening to you, their parents. Your children begin to pick one word here, one word there, and before you know it, they can articulate, they can put their words together, they can express themselves, and you are just wondering, how did it happen? It's simple. They were observing you, they were learning by experience. Okay, so their listening skill is probably one of the first skill that is developed as they grow up. Then of course they are able to also talk or speak back to you. Then of course we send them to school and they begin to learn how to write or how to read and write. But most of the time, the things they do in school, first of all, is to be taught how to write. Then as they are being taught how to write, they are also introduced to how to read. Okay, but I have discovered that when it comes to personal development, which is a must for everybody. We must inculcate this mentality in our children that they have to keep developing. All right. But like I am saying, which is going to be my emphasis in this teaching, you have to show them that you are also developing. I remember my son, he was about 2 years old when I began to notice that he was drawn towards reading. And I could guess what was happening. I could guess what was making that possible because he had seen his dad read, open books for him, even though I know that he may not be able to understand some of the things I was reading to him. I understood the process of, just getting him aware of the fact that there is something called a book, and there are words in the book. And then, of course, you are meant to be able to read the words. You are meant to be able to interpret, okay? And then, of course, that's another way by which you also express yourself. That's the way you communicate with other people and the rest like that. So I kept on reading to him over and over again. And I discovered that he started having that strong passion or that likeness for reading. Okay, so the best way to influence your children is to show them the way. Don't tell them the way, show them the way. I can tell you the way, I can describe the way to you, but I am a better influencer when I show you the way. So I am not just telling you that you should read as a culture. Now, for instance, most of our children feel that they are meant to read because they are meant to pass. And we need to correct that impression. Some of them feel that they go to school just because they are meant to read to pass. For most of them, they feel that they learn to pass. But learning is beyond passing. Learning is beyond what you can get. Learning for you is, first of all, your development, your ability to develop mentally, spiritually, every facet of life. Man is a spirit, he has a soul, he lives in a body. And so ideally, your reading should help you to grow in those three areas. All right, that's the whole essence of personal development. God, the scripture says in 3 John 2, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Okay, so that means God is expecting us to be prospering spiritually. He's expecting us to be prospering, intellectually or in our soul. He's expecting us to be prospering physically. That's our health now. All right. So, but one of the ways by which we get to achieve this is exposure to the right knowledge. Okay. Knowledge have been trapped in books. If you want to get the best experience in life, you want to get the best counsel, you want to get the best, Dr. Lola was just talking about the fact that there are things you can check up in Google. Certain people sat down to capture those experiences, to capture those templates, to capture those stories, to capture those how-tos, and they captured it in writing for you so that you can read, understand, and apply. All right. So the best of knowledge, the best of counsel, the best of experience, the best of expertise have been captured in books. All right. And that's why you discover that there is no form of personal development you want to go through. In fact, there's absolutely no kind of training you would go through that will not involve you reading or writing. Like I know that some of you are taking notes already because you want to capture certain thoughts, certain ideas that are being shared now. You don't want to lose them. So you are capturing them in writing. So that already tells you that writing is important. But why are you capturing them in writing? It's because you want to be able to read them again, meditate on them, regurgitate, as it were, like you chew it, you chew it to pieces, extract all the nutrients in it, then you pour it out, you apply it to your life. That's why you write it down. Okay, so it's important that we see that reading and writing are very critical. In fact, they are so important for our development. And if we want our children to be better than us, if we want them to be all that God has designed them to be, we need to introduce them to these skills early enough. All right. But the first point I'm making, if you don't get anything from what I'm saying today, please make sure you get this, is the fact that it starts with you. It starts with you as the parent. You cannot possibly encourage your children to read without showing them how to read by reading yourself. Okay, I have also established the fact that we need to let them see that they don't read to pass. All right, I am from Nigeria, West Africa, and it's a third world nation. We have our struggles, but we also have our blessings. I am blessed to be a Nigerian. I am so proud of my nation, and I believe great things will keep happening for us. All right, but one of the challenges we have is that when it comes to the education system, many people feel, and like most of us when we're going to school, we feel that we are meant to read to pass. All right, we're meant to read because of our grades. All right, that's the way our education system has been structured. So there are many things I can tell you, I'll be honest, I'll confess, there are many things that I learned in school that I don't remember anymore. All right, I studied plant physiology and crop production. I was an agriculture student. All right, so I have a bachelor degree in agriculture, and so if you ask me today to tell you some of the things I learned in school, I will not be able to give it back to you. But I remember, or I know of a truth that I was actually schooled. I was educated, and I am still educated, all right? Because education is beyond the four walls of school. How have I been able to do that? Beyond what I practiced in school, beyond what I studied in school, I have given time to read. I have read wide. I have, I have read after my passion. I have read to help myself in what I do. So I am more knowledgeable. I can interact, I can relate with you like I'm talking presently because I have learned certain things by reading, not because I learned them in school. Okay, so we need to help our children to see that school is beyond just cramming, just getting the knowledge momentarily so that you can pour it back in your papers, get a good grade, run away, and you have graduated. You can show off in your CV that you graduated with a first class. I love what Dr. Lala was saying. Your PhD means nothing if we don't know the benefit, if we don't know what is going to be adding to you as a person, or what it has added to you as a person, and what is going to be adding to your environment, your establishment where you're going to be working, all right? So we need to help our children see that we don't send them to school just because of passing their exams or getting good grades, graduating with good classes, and the rest like that. For so many people, their learning stopped the moment they left school. I'm speaking from experience, all right, because I've interacted with a lot of people. Because in the school system, there is an operating system that helps you to read, even if you don't want to read, because your grades are involved. Your certificate is involved. Your certificate is at stake. And then, of course, your parents are on your neck because you must not allow their money to go down the drain. You cannot afford to waste their money. So there were a lot of motivation involved to help us pass through school. So for many people, as soon as they finish school, they are just there. They are looking for jobs, and probably after a while, because of the system, the unavailability of jobs, they just forget about anything personal development, and they are just there. So we need to help our children see that reading is important. Reading is a pathway to knowledge. In fact, reading is the vehicle of education. And when we are talking of education, now we're not just talking about your discipline or the course you study in school. No, we are talking about being whole, being knowledgeable, having the right kind of information for living, knowing what to do, when to do it, how to do it, with whom to do it, for whom to do it part-time. A whole lot of things is involved in education. So it's not just enough to go to school. You have to be truly educated. And one way by which we achieve that in this season is to read. So if you have not been reading as a parent, I am encouraging you. I am admonishing you. I am begging you to make reading a hobby. Make it a habit. Show your children how to read. Don't just tell them to read. All right, because it's important for your growth. It's important for your growth, first of all. And one of the things we don't know, I am a parent, and I know that to give the best as a parent, I need to keep getting better. I need to keep improving on myself. So there are times when I am real with myself and I know that, oh, guy, you need to get knowledge in this area. For instance, I'm learning how to relate more with my son. And I discovered that the way I relate with my son has to be different from the way I relate with my daughter, because they are two different personalities, two different people, all right, with two different composition both physiologically and psychologically. All right. So I cannot afford to be a dull parent. You know, I know what I have had to do. I know what I'm still doing to become a better parent. So you see that reading for you as a parent is first of all for you, is first of all for your personal development. I learn how to talk to my children. I learn how to make them feel that I love them. I learned how to pass information across. I must salute you, parents. I salute you specially, because one of the hardest things to do is to make your children see reasons with you. You know, there are times when I have to appreciate the teachers, you know, who are teaching these children in school, because at times I'm trying to explain something to my son and he's not getting me, you know, so I have to learn how to come to his level. All of these things comes by exposure to the right knowledge. Okay, so let us see that knowledge is important. Knowledge makes us powerful. Yes, they say knowledge is power, and that is true, because it gives you the ability, it shows you the ability to get work done. All right, but you don't really become powerful until you have applied the knowledge. Okay, it's one of the things I teach when I take people through my reading courses, that it's not enough to read. The end point of reading is that you apply the knowledge that you have gotten. So as I begin to round off, because this is a very, very voluminous topic that I cannot cover in this few minutes, but I want to teach you 5 tools. Let me say it that way. I want to introduce to you 5 tools that you can use to help to develop your children's, you know, writing and reading skill, especially reading. Okay, all right. I love to use acronyms so that it's easy for you to remember. I have tagged it VET2R. VET, V-E-T 2R. That means there are 2 R's I'm going to be talking about. So each of those letters stands for a tool, which I'm going to explain in quick succession. Now, number 1, V, is value. You need to help your children get or put value on reading, on their personal development. It's very important. All right, because what you value, you make time for. What you value, you invest in. A value is the worth that you place on something. So I can have worth, but you may not be able to enjoy my worth if you have not come to terms with the value that I carry. So at the end of the day, there are 2 dimensions of value. There is the value that the object or the item or the phenomenon carries, and then there is the value that you place on it. That means you have come to terms with the value it carries, you appreciate the value it carries, and you recognize that value and put it in high esteem. Okay, so we must put premium, we must put value into reading. You need to help your children to see that this thing is of value, is of worth. Something that's of value is something that adds to you. It doesn't take away from you, it adds to you. So that's one of the things that reading does, and you need to help your children to see that reading helps them to be valuable at the end of the day, because the more you learn, the more you will earn. All right, the more you learn, the more you put yourself, or you position yourself to earn. Of course, all of us want our children to do well. We want them to you know, succeed more than us. We want them to have good jobs, you know, to be highly placed in the society. All right, but one way by which they can achieve that, especially in this competitive season, especially in this competitive generation, especially in this time when there is so much people chasing one thing, it's the fact that they need to learn, they need to distinguish themselves, you know, and it puts them in a position to earn more. Look at the people that are earning more these days. You can already say for yourself, or you will agree with me, that there are people who have put more resources, who are doing more when it comes to learning. So the more you learn, the more you position yourself to earn, and that's very, very important. So value is where you start. When you place value on reading as a parent, you will help your children, because the reason why I'm focusing on reading is the fact that reading will eventually improve their writing, but we cannot go into that details today. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is environment. All right, let me read the definition of environment that I have here. It's the surroundings of and influences on a particular item of interest. the surroundings of, and the influences on. Now, one of the ways that, and it has been proven that one of the things that helps our children to grow, or what makes them turn out the way they turn out, is the environment. All right. It's not just about the food they eat. It's not just about what we give them. The environment actually affects them positively or negatively. So you can create an environment that encourages reading. How many books do you have in your house? All right, that's a question for every parent. Now, just look inside yourself and rate yourself. How many books do you have in your house? Do you have a library in your house? Do you have a room where, when your children enter, they know that this is a place where we read? This is a place where we can get resources to get better. All right. Let's invest in that. In case you don't have a reading environment, you can create a reading environment. Do you have a chair and a table in your house? Okay, where my children know that when daddy enters this particular room, he's going to read, he's going to study. Okay, they enter there once in a while because I want them to begin to enter that environment, and I want that environment to enter into them. All right, these things are psychological. It also have a spiritual undertone, because the more they see you do it, the more they see that this is what should be done, or this is how it should be done. All right, so I am not just going to be telling them as they grow up that, okay, you have to read, you have to read. No, they are seeing me read. I have created an environment where they can read. Okay, so buy books for your children. All right. Stick books on the wall, maybe pictures of books for knowledge. That's very important. And now we're talking about T, and that's tradition. When you're talking about tradition, you're talking about culture. It's a way of life, a way of doing. All right. So has it become a tradition in your home to read consistently, to expose yourself to the right knowledge, the knowledge that you need to live a purposeful life? It's very important. So make it a tradition, a family tradition. We have family traditions, okay? But how many of us are deliberate about having reading as a tradition in our family? That's another question for you to answer, all right? And then the next one is the first R, is routine. Routine. Tradition is different from routine, but routine can help you develop a tradition. Okay, routine talks about practice, what you do daily. Now, one of the things I teach, which has also been established, is the fact that what makes the difference at the end of the day in our results, in our outcomes in life, is what we do daily. The habits we cultivate, the habits, the things we do on a regular basis, those are the things that makes us at the end of the day. So have you made a routine out of reading? You need to learn how to develop a routine for reading. Okay, maybe every morning before you step out is when you want to read as a parent. When you do it, encourage your children to do the same. Let them have a routine for reading. When they come back from school, okay, do you have a time for them to read? I'm not even talking about school books now. We need to take them beyond school books. Yes, they are learning in school. It's part of education, but we are talking about wholesome education, all-round education. Let them begin to read about other things, about other fields, about other necessary things that will help them stand out in life. Have a routine. You can create a schedule for them to read, and to read on particular topics, on particular issues. You can say 1 hour daily, 30 minutes daily, 20 minutes daily. Just ensure that it's a daily affair. It's a routine. After a while, it becomes autopilot. You don't have to force them to read, all right? And then, of course, the last one is reward. What you reward will increase. What you reward, you encourage people when you reward them. So you need to reward reading. Okay, if you can finish this book this week, I'm going to buy you this. Oh, you've been asking me for this particular toy. I'm going to get it for you on this condition. That you're going to finish this book. You're going to tell me what you read. You're going to show me your notes from the book. And then, of course, there's going to be a reward. You can buy just a little something. You can take them out. That fulfillment that comes with the fact that I did something and this is my reward for it it's very, very wonderful, and it does a whole lot of good for your children. So don't forget value, environment, tradition, routine, and reward. This is one formula that I can bet that if you apply yourself to it and apply yourself consistently to it, you will help your children to improve their reading and, of course, by extension, their writing. Everything I have said about reading, you can apply it to writing, okay? Because reading and writing cannot be separated, really. They are integrated. You cannot really separate them. One will always lead to the other. Of course, other things I talk about is how to retain more, how to read fast, how to concentrate when you read, and all of the rest like that. But because of time, we will not be able to get into that. But I hope that you have gotten one or two things from this short talk of mine, that as a parent, you have to show the way. You lead by example. That's the greatest influence you have. Create the right environment for your children. Let them value reading. Let them see it as something that will add to them, that will make their lives better. As you keep doing all of this, you can be so sure that you would have helped them tremendously, and they'll be grateful for life that you did that for them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think I'm going to round it up there. Thank you for the opportunity.
Let's clap for
Yes,
Jesus. Let's clap for Jesus. Let's clap for Jesus. We are so blessed. Honestly, I am so blessed today. Thank you so much, sir, for the time. So
yes,
if you don't mind, we might want to
ma'am.
invite you in future, just to come. Probably we have like an hour with you instead of rushing you through. So we can invite parents who will be interested. So it might not be all parents this time, but parents who are keen, to develop their children learning skills, so they can connect,
No problem.
To you. Thank you so
no
much.
No problem, ma. I'll gladly do that. Thank you so much, ma.
Thank you. God bless you. So that's the end of our program tonight. Parent, we are so honored to have you here. We are so blessed. Thank you so much for being intentional. Because it can only be intentional parents who will stay from beginning to the end. So you are so curious to learn more about and for your children. So we are so grateful. Thank you so much. So we call one of our parents to pray for us. Oh, thank you. Mommy has approved it over there. That's my mother in the Lord, Pastor Mrs. Deborah Omoyeni. So Mommy, are you available to pray for us? Are you free, man, to just give us an opening prayer? I'm suspecting she might be at work.
Yeah.
Are you okay, man, to go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Everlasting Father, King of glory, we bless the holy name, O Lord. We thank you for this wonderful program.